Yeah, I think that what happens, and this is part two ongoing with this dynamic of love, etc. I think that what happens is while we're going through the journey, we want to give and be of service because we're connected with our own pain, you know? And we've been in this pain and we don't want anyone to suffer the pain that we're suffering. So we want to give, okay? But we have to, really, to be able to give, we have to be able to come out of our own pain, okay? And so this is such a driving force for people on the path. But sometimes it's a way to mask our own pain, okay? But we have to be willing to sit and to see what's there, and then to be able to cut through it, rather than finding another escapism, another way to cover it over, okay? So every bit of this pain and things that we feel, they have a doorway through them if we can stop and look at it. And I've talked about this a lot in my own life. I went through a lot of trauma. Had a lot of PTSD and all these things. I had a lot of trauma coming up. And I finally had the start of breakthrough when I could see that the people that had caused this, they were living in a hell realm and propelled to do their actions. Okay, I had a chance to get out. So when I could let go of the blame and the poor me and all of these things that we feel, poor me, why me, you know, and all of this stuff that we go through, when I could stop and see that the perpetrators of these acts were, you know, they're driven by a hell realm mind. What a sad place to be. And what was holding all this drama in place? Because yeah, events happened, but what was continuing to hold it in place? And the only thing I could come back to was myself. I'm holding it in place. By thinking about it, by keep giving energy to that story, okay? And it doesn't mean that you try to run away in denial. You can't run away in denial. You have to finally stop and look at it. And for me, the opening was looking, well, and recognizing that I had, even in a moment of happiness, then where did this go? Where did this pain go? Where did this trauma go? If it's even gone for 1 second, what validity does it have? Where did it go? Huh? So we begin to look deeper. What was touched? What was really touched? I'm spirit. What can really be touched? Yeah, the body was touched, but really, then what? Then what? And you look at the mind and you look at the thoughts and you see that they come and go. But thoughts don't have a life of their own. If you have a thought, it can't stand out here on its own. So what gives it life? That brooding, that holding on to it, that attachment to it, that trying to be an aversion to it, and all of this is feeding it. And as it's fed, then all the emotions come up with it. And the emotions make it seem to be solid. But it isn't. It's not solid. And we come to see that while it feels like we have a million thoughts going at once, really there can only be one thought at a time that's there. So the way through is to finally be willing to see what's beneath this story, what is beneath this me that holds all this drama in place. Okay? And when we finally break through and we see we are not the mind, we're not the body, we are spirit, we are something that's different than these, then all of a sudden these knots begin to loosen their hold. and they begin to be cut. Okay? And when all falls away in realization, and there's no me, there's no world, there's only that one infinite, unchanging is. And it's the life of all life and the death of all death, and I am that. I am not this limited body. When we see that, the conditioned mind is at its end. We've entered the life of all life and the death of all death. Okay? And what remains is realization. And it's so astounding and so simple at the same time. One feels like that commercial. I could have had a V8, you know? I could have had the absolute. I could have had freedom. Freedom is always there. And I thought, you know, at the time when I was going through all this suffering, that freedom and liberation was getting out of the world. It wasn't that. The only thing I needed to be freed from was that mind. Okay? That's what we need freedom from, is that mind. And the mind plays stills. And the conditioned mind is at an end. And we're no longer seeing through these lenses of limitations and drama and separation and this me story. Everything falls away into this peace. Unchanging is. And we enter the flow of life rather than struggling against it. And there's a whole shift that takes place in that moment.